Hello, hello. How is everybody doing? We're going to give it a few minutes, let people filter in. Then we'll get this thing going. Indeed. Finally got a good bit of sleep. Nice. Yeah, it's always fun explaining insomnia to people. Because people think that, insomnia just means that you don't sleep. That's not the case. Except for in, the most extreme cases of insomnia. There are people that never sleep. And most of the time, those people don't make it to 40 because their body burns out. So they don't understand that insomnia comes in lots of different levels. You have, of course, yes, you have the times you don't sleep, and you can be awake for, 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes even more in a row. My record is 17. But there are the times that you're awake that long and you're just fine, and you feel fine, and you function fine. And then there are the times that you're awake for that long and you absolutely feel like you have been awake for that long. But your body just won't shut off. So you feel like crap. And then there are times that you can be awake for, 3, 4 days, sleep for 3 hours, and then be up for another 2. And then there's times that you can be awake for a day, sleep for 16 hours, be awake for 2 hours, and then go back to bed and sleep for another 8. So there's a whole rainbow of what having insomnia does to you. And for the people that have it really bad like myself, you eventually learn to not fight against it. You just work around it. You embrace it and you work around it. Hey, Moose Hawks. Hey, Thino. And I've had it since I was 12, so I am definitely used to it. I used to try and fight it, and it just made me feel like crap all the time. I suffered from migraines. Once I finally made the decision of, you know what, I'm just going to embrace it, and I'm just going to work around it and figure out everything from there. Man, that was like the best decision I ever made. Granted, when I was working hourly jobs, it made it interesting because there were a lot of times I ended up having to go with no sleep, even if I was exhausted, which sucked. Alright, I'm going to give it about 3 more minutes. Then we'll get the beginning stuff out the way and get this thing going. Dude, I've tried every sleep aid on the market and none of them do anything. I was given one at one point that said, guaranteed will knock you out inside of 3 hours. I took one. 24 hours later, I took another one. 24 hours later, I took another one. And 6 hours later, I finally fell asleep. Like, yep, those are crap. But I do know that one of the reasons why... Hang on. What am I doing? All right, whatever. All right. Oh, trazodone isn't new. Back when my wife and I first got together, her sister was on trazodone. It might be a new use they're working on it for, or using it for it, but it's not new. But part of the reason, I do know part of the reason why my insomnia is what it is because as you stay awake, your brain produces melatonin naturally. And once the melatonin tips over a certain point, you go to sleep. That's like your sleep trigger chemical. And then while you're asleep, your brain gets flooded with serotonin, which flushes out the melatonin. And the serotonin is also part of what like helps lock in your memories from the day before and all that kind of thing. My brain produces a higher level of serotonin all the time, 24 hours a day. And it produces melatonin at about 30 to 40% of what a normal person's does. So that's why in most cases, I can be awake for 3 days, and I am fully awake and alert through the whole thing. But eventually, no matter what, it catches up and it hits you. And for me, that was yesterday. All right, let's get the beginning stuffs out the way. For anybody new, payments made via PayPal. Use cheapskatecoins at gmail.com and use goods and services only, please. We also have Cash App using the same email. Cheapskatecoins at gmail.com. And we also have Venmo at Cheapskate Coins. If you use Cash App or Venmo, it will say Louis Gachera. That's me. You are in the right place. Shipping is $6 to $26. $6 being a little purple bubble mailer, $26 being the large flat rate boxes. I've heard rumors that some packages might be getting slowed down because of jet fuel shortages, so keep that in mind and keep an eye on that. So, usually a package when I ship it, it'll get to you within normally it's like 4 to 5 days depending on where you're at. Sometimes maybe 3 days if you live closer, but that could be taking longer now because if they have to go to primarily ground, then that's going to slow everything down. And then if you want it sent registered, there's an additional $45 charge on top of that. It is the only way you can insure coins through the mail. And keep in mind, if you go registered, you will have to sign for it when it arrives. So make sure you are aware of that. Also wanted to mention, by the way, if any of you that have a problem with porch pirates, you can set up with your post office to have your parcels held there for you to be picked up. So that might be something you might want to think about. So if you're new, you can get stuff tonight. You just have to email me by the end of the night. Email has to have your personal info, shipping info, channel name, which payment method you're going to use, and what email you use for that payment method for shipping purposes, or for invoicing purposes, sorry. If we do not get that email, you will not get anything, and we never ship without payments. Here's our Facebook link. Tonight's lot list is on there. It is the top post. I do post a lot list on there every week. Every day we have a sale. We also have a mailing list. If you want to be on the mailing list, shoot me an email, cheapskatecoins@gmail.com, and say add me to the mailing list. If you're on the mailing list, you will get the lot list a day or two before every sale, and you'll have the ability to pre-purchase items as soon as you get that email. It is first come, first served, just like our sales, so if you want something, don't wait, jump on it. Also, we do not charge right away for pre-sales. We wait until the evening of the sale and then invoice everybody together. And then you have the standard 7 days to get the payment in. I forget to mention this but I like to mention it every now and then when I do remember. Our policy does say 7 days from the day. So basically, after the sale, you have to have the payment in before the next sale starts. Excuse me. If you need longer, email me. I'm always willing to work with people. I know people are on fixed incomes. I know emergencies come up. So if you need longer, wait on me. The one thing that will upset me and will make me not work with you is if you don't communicate. So just communicate with me. That's all you got to do. And then, and always, if you never have, make sure you look down in our description for all the rest of our rules and policies. I'm going to grab a drink of my drink, and then we'll get this thing going. All right. All right, so anybody who saw the list, you guys saw that I do actually have banknote albums in again. It's been a while. These are not the 300 note albums that I usually would have. These are smaller versions of that same one. These hold 102 banknotes each. I started with 5 of them. I sold 1 in pre-sale. Yeah, I'm going to show them. I sold 1 in pre-sale, so I've got 4 left. They are 25 bucks each. I need to move. Let's see. Move you over here. So again, like I said, they visually are identical to the ones that I normally have. It's just, instead of holding 300, it holds 102. So this is the regular one, not the deluxe. And of course, each page has slots for 3 banknotes. So there you go. 25 bucks each. It's kind of hard to show really big albums. Oh, no. Go away. Go away. Yes, they are PVC free. You've gotten the bigger one from me before, I believe, Richard. They're exactly the same company, same everything. They only hold 102 instead of 300. All right, let me see if I can do this here. Here we go. All right, so anybody need a banknote album? Two going to Richard. All right, that leaves 2 left. Anybody else? Richard, those might start a new box for you. Just FYI. I don't think those will fit in your current box. All right, we are going to move on. If anybody decides you need one, let me know. There's 2 left. Get this back where it goes. Let me check real quick. I think one will fit in your box. Let me double check. Yeah, no, it's not going to fit. It won't fit in your box, Fina. That would be starting a new package for you. Because you already have all those other smaller albums in there. That's filling up most of the box. All right, moving on to banknotes. You're actually almost full. You're just gonna hold like smaller stuff. It just can't hold anything big. All All right, kicking off banknotes tonight. We got a 2,350 dinar from Iraq. Going for $2. Upside down. There we go. Let's show it the right way. Aha. Get the camera straight. Going to Richard. All right, next up. 1995, 20,000 sucras from Ecuador. That's a lot of sucras. I have no idea what that weird symbol is or how it got on there. Yeah, I have no idea what button put that on there. Hey, mean one. Anybody? Is Will be in the channel lurking? Nope, he's not. Alright, moving on. Haven't actually seen Will be in a couple of weeks. Alright, next one. This one was an interesting one. This one was from 1944, so World War II era. And it is a 50 Austria shillings. Allied military note, emergency issue. These have a fairly high rarity index on these. This is going for $8. So if you like the more rare stuff, here you go. Going to Richard. Congrats, sir. Richard beat you by a hair, Moose Socks. All right, next one up, I got two available. Let him have it? Okay. Moose Socks, Richard is letting you have it, so you are getting it. So the Austria one's going to Moose Socks. All right, next one up, I've got two available. These are 2014 5,000 francs from Rwanda. These are still monetized. And if you took them to your bank right now and did the exchange on it, The exchange would be $3.42 US. And they're going for $5 each. If you're a fan of gorillas, this is definitely the banknote for you. Any takers? Welcome back. So it's good to know if I never sell these, I can take them to my bank and at least get just shy of $7. I've only ever done the foreign conversion thing at my bank once. It was we had a couple of euro banknotes. It took about 15 minutes for them to go through the whole process. All right, moving on. And then this next one, if you were to take it to your bank right now and do the exchange on it, would be $9.83. So from 2014 to present. And this is a 1,000 francs from the French Pacific Territories. And it's going for $12. So only $2 and change over what the bank exchange would be. Turtle. Anybody? All right, moving on. All right, next up is from the year 2000. It is a 10-pound banknote from England. Going for $6. It's got Charles Darwin on there. Man, nobody. All right, moving on. Alright, next up. From 2006, this is a $1 note from Trinidad and Tobago. Over $2. Alright, moving on. Next up is a 2010 $1 from the Cayman Islands. Alright, moving on. And the last banknote for the night is from India. This one is 2019 to present. It is still monetized. You can spend it in India today. Say 20 rupees. Over $2. Mahatma Gandhi. Oh, it's 2021. I have that. I've got that wrong. Okay, let me fix that. Typo. There we go. Now it's right. 2021. For anybody who wants to know, let's see. 20 rupees to USD. Conversion on that would be 21 cents. Woohoo! Alright, moving on. Let me fix the date on the little insert real quick. So it's accurate. All right, if anybody decides you want any of those banknotes, let me know. All right, the next 5 lots that were on the list that were all the silver game tokens and medallions, those all went in pre-sale. So we are on to coinage. Starting off with some non-silvers. And the first one is an oldie. Check this thing out. This is from 1808. This is the East India Company 10 cash. British India. It is in a VF and going for 20 bucks. And going to Moose Ox. Congrats, sir. All right, next up, this is 2 coins from Canada. They are from 1963. They are the penny and nickel proof. Going for 3 bucks. It's only $1.50 a coin. It's not bad at all for proofs. Anybody? Going to Doug. Congrats, sir. How you doing, Doug? All right. Got one more of each of these in. These both went quick last time, and there were other people that wanted them as well. I was able to get one more of each in. So this first one is the 1973 Singapore mint set in the booklet. Going for 15 bucks, just like last time. Year of the Ox. That's some cool designs. And then it's got all the info of the designs and everything. All the technical data. Anybody? Nobody this time, huh? By the way, all these little things, these are completely sealed. for the way they're made. All right, moving on. Then I've also got the 1969 New Zealand souvenir mint set. Got your insert. Issued by the New Zealand Treasury, 1969. That cool 50 center that's got that awesome ship on it, the Endeavor. That is an awesome coin right there. Hey, go Mabel. New Zealand dollar coin. So this one, unlike the other one, this one is in a cellophane, similar to our mint sets from back in the day. So the other side is just Queen Lizzie. And then the little insert like we do. I'll do them as a deal if anybody wants both. I'll do both for 24. Saves you $6 if you get both. Get the Singapore and the New Zealand. Ain't a baddie. All right, moving on. All right, this next set, I didn't even know this thing existed. So I learned something new. All right, so this is from 2010 Canada, Vancouver Olympics. It is a 14 coin set. There's 12 quarters and 2 $1 coins. It's still unopened. It's the exact way it would have come if you would have ordered it back in 2010. I'm going to show you on the face view first. So these two right here are the $2 coins. And then every coin has a different reverse. So I'm doing this for $20. That's less than $2 per coin. And both of these were special issue dollar coins. Neither of these are the standard Canadian dollar that just has the duck on the back. And then it's got basically a quarter representing each of the the main events. So anybody? This is a good deal, guys. 20 coins for, or 14 coins for 20 bucks. The 2 loonies are lucky loonies. Cool. All right, moving on. I thought sure somebody would have grabbed that. I guess not. All right, World Silver time. That was actually one of the items I'm surprised didn't go in pre-sale. There's that one. That one, the Flying Eagle, the Shield Nickel, and the Morgans. I honestly thought all would go in pre-sale, and none of them did. All right, kicking out World Silver. 1924, 1 Sol Peru. 50% silver, VF. Only 96,000 of these were ever made. Oop, there we go. Now we're upright. Going for 45 bucks. Anybody? But just the melt on the alone on these, let me see real quick. 1924, 1 Sol Peru. Yeah, just the melt alone on these as of right this second is $30.37. It is 4/10 of an ounce of silver. Anybody? All right, moving on. All right, next up, Canada. The first 4 went in pre-sale for Canada. So we're going to be starting Canada off at the 1949 10 center. %, silver, VF, going for $8. Ooh, focus. Anybody? All right, moving on. Next one, I've got two available. These are 1961s. They're both EFs, and they're $8 a piece. Here's the first one. And here's the second one. All right, moving on. All right, next up is 1963. This is a BU proof like. And go over $12. All right, moving on. To the 1964. 10 cent. This one's AU, $10. So you got the slight bit of wear in the hair, on the cheek, and on the shoulder, and that's it for that side. And then a little bit of wear on the highest point on the ship, right in, yeah, right up in here. All right, moving on. All right, the 1938 25 cent went in pre-sale. So we are now on to the 1944 25 center. So again, 80% silver. It's extremely fine. I never actually linked it. Might help if I do that. Here we go. 80% silver, extremely fine. This one's going for $16. Man, no love for Canada tonight. Alright, moving on. Alright, and then the only other 25 center is the 63 BU proof like. So I'm going for 18. That'd be what you would call a deep mirror proof like. Or a dimple, as they're referred to. Alright, moving on. Right, next up, got a couple of 50 centers. First one is the 1959. 80% silver AU, $30. And of course, camera's not wanting to show the luster that's still on there because of being dumb. There is actually, you can't see it on the camera, but there is luster on this coin. For some reason, the camera is not showing it. You kind of see it from that angle. That's annoying. Anybody? Yeah, I know Canada's been pushing to try and get a lot of their old coins back. All right, moving on. And then the other one is the 1963. And that again is one of those deep mirror proof likes. Over $35. Yeah, Gold Maple, if I remember right, doesn't have a payment method to be able to get stuff. Plus, typically we don't ship international. Canada is the one place I'll sometimes make it an exception just because it's not that hard to set it up. I've shipped to Canada once. All right, moving on. Last coin from Canada is the 1963 dollar. BU proof like. Over 60 bucks. Oh, wouldn't it still equal out almost basically the same if you bought it in Canada? Because the silver price is global. Oh, I have no doubt. Years ago, I used to sell these for much less. All right, moving on. I remember back when I used to sell Canadian dollars for 18 bucks each. All right, next up, 1955, 1 gulden, Netherlands. 72% silver AU, 16 bucks. But then, of course, you know, silver shot up. So now just to melt on one of those is what? What's the current melt value? $45.35 is the melt value for Canadian dollars right now. All right, moving on. Man, I have only sold 2 coins tonight. And that was that penny and nickel little set to Doug. All right, next up is Britain. Kicking off Britain is a bit of an oldie. It is 1869, 3 pence. 925 sterling in good, going for 6 bucks. And going to Richard. Hey, sold the 3rd coin. Woohoo. Right, next up is 1914 shilling. 925 sterling. It is VG and 15 bucks. Glare. All right, moving on. To the 1932 shilling. 50% silver in fine, $10. Yeah, it was only, what was it, the sixpence you can actually find sterling silver ones. Because they had some of the planches left over and they just used them. So a handful of sterling silver sixpences for 1921 did go out. All right, moving on. Next up is the 1942 shilling. And this is the one that's got the Scottish crest. There's a handful of years they did two versions of it. They did the English and the Scottish crests. This is the Scottish crest one. It is an EF. Over $10. So that's the Scottish crest, the one with the lion standing on the crown holding the two swords. All right, moving on. And then 1943 English crest. AU tone, $12. And then that, of course, is the English crest. And I've also got another one of these that is a BU for 15. He's right there. Anybody on either one of these? All right, moving on. And then the last coin from Britain, we got a half crown. 1922. 50% silver in good, going for $20. That's not much over melt. Which I've always found that interesting, considering how, the island of Ireland is not that big to begin with. Which means splitting it in half. That means that the The half that went back to just being Ireland, that is a pretty small little chunk of land they have to live off of. But they manage. All right, moving on. And you guys are not into World Silver tonight, are you? Next up, 1959 10 ore Sweden. 40% silver AU, $6. This one's going to mean one. Gratzer. Next up, got some from Mexico. And we will be kicking off with the 1950 25 centavo. God, that is so weird. All right. This one is 30% silver. VF going for $5. I can go $4 on it. Going to mean one for $4. Mean one asked first. Richard is going to him. Next up. Indeed. 1944, 50 centavo. 72% silver AU. Over $24. It's an interesting thing about Mexico. I've got 4 Mexican coins tonight. And all 4 of them are a different silver purity. We had the first one 30%, this one's 72%, the next one's 50%, and the last one's 10%. Going to Richard Gratzer. Next one is 1947 1 peso. 50% silver VF, 20 bucks. Not all of them. They had a couple that were in either the 60s or 70s that were 90%. Alright, moving out. And the last one from Mexico is 1964 1 peso. 10% silver, BU. Cool toning on it. Beautiful. Between the luster and the toning, it just gives it a really cool look. This is going for 10 bucks. It's very, very rare you ever see them looking this good. Anybody? There's gotta be somebody that wants that. That thing is gorgeous. Come on. And going to Richard. All right, Panama went in pre-sale. So next coin up is 1966 1/10 gulden from Netherlands Antilles. 64% silver, BU, 10 or 6 bucks. Just a little note, there's another version of this that has the fish, but over here would be a star. If you ever found one of those, that thing is expensive as hell. Because there was only like a handful of them made. They are really pricey. But this is the standard one. Yep, that is one of those places that does not exist anymore. Same with like, what was it? Czechoslovakia, Czechoslovakia, and I always forget what the third one is, but those all don't exist anymore. Now it's all just the Czech Republic. All right, moving on. All right, last world silver coin. 1944 florin. I realized this was a typo on the list. It said Britain. It's actually Australia. 925 sterling silver via very cool antique toning look. $30. I think it looks cool. Indeed, a florin is 2 shillings. All right, moving on to American coinage. I'm guessing this is what at least some of you have been waiting on. All right, kicking off American coinage. 1858 small letter flying eagle. VF, $85. So for anybody who doesn't know, the way you tell the difference between the small letters and the large letters is if you look at the A and the M, and there's not a die crack between them like this one has. The A and the M would be touching if it was large letters, and there's a gap when it's small letters. That one does actually have the gap, but that's a die crack in between that little gap. Any takers? $85. Wow, nobody. All right, moving on. Next up, it's a little penny set. It's got 4 coins. It's got the the 1958 D&P and the 1959 D&P. They're all BU reds. And it's going for $8. Going to Richard. Congrats, sir. All right, next up we got a Rick Snow coin. 1882 Shield Nickel in fine with the die chip and the date. Graded and attributed by Mr. Rick Snow. Over $65. So that's the that is the die chip and the date. Makes it look like the date's all filled in on the two. You're on a serious budget? Uh-oh. Never good for me when you say that. All right, moving on. Next up, got a couple of commemorative halves. First one is, that's supposed to say 1893, not 1983. The 1893 Columbian Expo in an EF tone to go over $35. Hey, Jags. That's all right. There's a lot of stuff still available. It's been a very slow night for sales. So this was made for 2 years. There's an 1892, and then this was the 93. Very first commemorative coin the U.S. ever did. All right, moving on. All right, and then the other one is 1951 Washington Carver. This one is BU toned, 110,000 minted, and I'm doing this one tonight for $40. And this one's going to Richard. Congrats, sir. All right, Kennedy Half-Dollar went in pre-sale. God. So we're on to the Morgans. These are pretty much my showcase items for tonight, too. All right, first one, 1879S. Reverse of 79. BU proof like. Over 150 bucks. And going to Richard Gratzer. And then we got 1880 San Francisco BU proof like. Going for 150. Be cool if it was the deep mirror proof like, but it's just the regular. Got that nice frost on the bird. Got the frost on the face. And going to Richard. All right, and final coin of the night. This one is just a regular BU. It's not a proof like. This is 1885 New Orleans. Over 95 bucks. Yeah, I had some bad marks. It happens. That they are. Yep. I remember time not all that super long ago that I used to be able to sell the common date BUs for like 55 bucks. Nowadays, though, it costs me $20 more just to buy them. Yeah, it definitely makes it harder, though, because I hate having to charge you guys the new higher prices, but it is what it is. Yeah, I try. All right, going to Richard. That is one nice thing about the non-silver stuff, is the non-silver stuff hasn't really gone up near as much. All right, recap. All right, the banknote albums I've got 2 still available at 25 bucks each. Deal on the 44 florin and the 47 peso. Hang on, I gotta find them. I assume you're talking about the Australia florin. I can knock 10 bucks off. I can do it for 40 bucks for the pair. You got it. All right, let me dig those out real quick. All right. Hey, Dandy Dave. All right, so did anybody else want a banknote album? Holds 102 banknotes, going for 25 bucks. I've got 2 left. All right, and then actual banknotes. I've still got the 1995 20,000 Sucres Ecuador, which is 2 bucks. I have both the 2014 5,000 francs Rwanda at 5 bucks a piece. The 2014 to present 1,000 franc French Pacific Territories, which is 12 bucks. The 2010 pounds England for 6 bucks. 2006 $1 Trinidad Tobago for 2 bucks, and the 2010 $1 Cayman Islands for 2 bucks. Anybody on the banknotes? All right, still got both the little sets. The Singapore set 1973 and the New Zealand set 1969. 15 bucks a piece, or I did a deal if anybody wants both. I said I would do both for 24. Anybody on these? 15 each or 24 for both. And Wayne is taking both for the deal. All right. All right, I still got the 2010 Vancouver set for 20 bucks. which is this set. It's got 12 quarters and 2 $1 coins. So this set's 20 bucks if anybody wanted it. I can't go any lower than 20 bucks, Doug. I'm already charging too little on those as it is. Like I said, that's less than $2 a coin. Going to Doug. I've got a bunch of stuff from Canada. Nobody bought it. All right, World Silver. I still got the 1924 One Soul Peru. It's in VF, 96,000 minted, 45 bucks. For the Canadian Silver, I've still got the 1949 10 cent, the 19 and both 1961 10 centers, the 63 and the 64 for the Canadian dimes. Quarters, I've still got the 1944 and 63 for 25 centers. I've still got the 1959 and 63 50 centers and the $63. So anybody on the Peru or any of the Canada? I kind of figured. Considering you said that you had a very strict budget and then you proceeded to buy 4 of the most expensive coins on the list. Alright, still got the 1951 1 Gulden Netherlands AU for 16 bucks. I've still got all the Britain except for the 3 pence. So it's 1914 shilling, 1932 shilling, 42 shilling with the Scottish crest, 43 shilling with the English crest. I've got 2 of those. One's AU, one's BU. Oh, and then the half crown sold. I forgot to mark that. Who got that? Who got the half crown? I know somebody got that. In Peru and the Canada dollar. You got it. Let's see if I can scroll up to where that was still going. Give me a sec, guys. I'm looking for where the half crown was up. Okay, nope, nobody bought the half crown. I thought somebody did. No, Mean One just said he loves it. That he really loves that coin. So the half crown is still available. Anybody on Canada, Netherlands, or Britain? And then the only other world silver coin that's still available is the 1966 1/10 gulden from Netherlands Antilles. It's BU for $6. American coins is easy. Here's what's left for American coins. 1882 Shield Nickel, graded and attributed by Rick Snow. It's in a fine and is $65. The 1893 Columbian Expo commemorative half, EF toned, for $35. And 1858 small letter Flying Eagle VF, $85. And before anybody asks, no, I am not able to mark any of these three down. They're already at the lowest I can go. Alright, last call on everything. Alright, guys, I'm going to get out of here then. Everybody, thanks for coming out. As always, give me a little bit to get the invoices out. I do have an errand I got to run, so might be a little while before they get out. So, alright, guys. Everybody have a great night, and I will see you guys next time.